Should have come here at the height of summer. That would have been fun. That would have been the thing to do, rather than just sitting alone on the beach talking to myself like a fucking lunatic. Oh, how's that looking? How's it going? I'm on the beach. Came to the beach in Brighton for the day. Had a free day, jumped on the train down to Brighton. Thought I would sit on the beach alone and chat to a camera because that's what I do these days. Decided to make a video today about a lens. Love a good lens. So a couple of weeks ago I made a video about my Fuji X-T5 and I had upwards of one comment asking me about what lens I was using. And today I'm going to talk about that lens. It's the 23mm f2 WR from Fuji. I've actually owned this lens I think 4 different times over the years. I've bought and sold this lens so many times. It's pretty embarrassing, to be completely honest. If anybody else has an issue where they buy and sell the same piece of camera kit over and over again, there's a number down in the description that you can call. I think I've actually owned this lens and used it on a X Pro 3, XT3, an XT4 and an XT5. And I've owned it, 3 or 4 different times now. And I always come back to it. It's just a really solid lens. There's definitely a reason that 35mm is such a staple for street photographers. For me over the years, 35mm has always been such a versatile focal length. If I'm photographing a situation where I'm not entirely sure what kind of lens I'm going to need, I'm not sure how busy the situation's going to be, I'm not sure if there's going to be opportunities for portraits or not, I will always carry a 35mm equivalent lens. I just know that I can always get some sort of photo that I like with a 35mm. There's a reason that, such renowned street photographers have used this focal length over the years. Matt Stewart, Alex Webb, Joel Morowitz, they've all used 35mm lenses for taking pictures on the street. And it just makes sense. It just makes sense as a lens for street photography. If you've been following the channel for any period of time, you'll know I've tried a lot of different lenses. There's videos of me saying why 28mm is my favourite, why 35mm is my favourite, why 40mm is so good. If I can only carry 2 lenses in my camera bag, it would be a 35 and a 50mm equivalent. The combination of the 2 of them for me allows me to take all the kinds of photos that I like to take. It feels like a sort of classic head-to-head, doesn't it? 35 versus 50. I'm like, why don't you just have one of each? And that's the kind of combo of lenses I've ended up really settling on with my X-T5. The f2 range of lenses, they're both pretty reasonably priced. They're both very lightweight. They're both very, very quick to focus. And they also resolve the 40 megapixel sensor really, really well. I've actually always been fairly underwhelmed by this 23mm f2. It's been a nice lens and it's always kind of lacked any kind of character or been a bit, I don't know, I've found the images have been a bit flat, but I do feel like it comes to life on this newer 40 megapixel sensor. It can definitely handle the resolution and it just feels a bit more interesting to me. That's probably purely subjective, I know, but that's what it's felt like to me. Using it again on the X-T5 now, I've kind of reminded myself why I've enjoyed this lens so much, and it's, considering it's been around for a few years, it feels very fresh and very new. So I've used this lens a lot, particularly over the last 12 months. I went to me and my family, we went to a sort of heritage train ride up in Loughborough. I took this lens with me, not really knowing what to expect. It allowed me to capture like little detail shots and also more environmental scenes. And I just snapped away with it all day and was like, that was probably the most fun I've actually had taking pictures in a couple of years actually. Just using this lens, not having to worry about gear, just worrying about getting the shot and like getting off trains, walking up and down the platforms, taking pictures in the carriages. It allowed me to get exactly the kind of photos that I wanted to get. And sometimes that just happens, particularly with a 35mm lens. Like often a 28 can be more fun, it can be more dramatic, that distortion, being able to have that randomness of something, be able to kind of walk into the frame. Of course, 28mm is more romantic, it's more fun, but 35mm is just like the sensible choice for me, and it always has been. Don't get me wrong, I do love 28, but 35, it just makes sense, And I think like if you're going to do a day trip somewhere, or you're taking pictures of family, or you just want to step out of the house with a lens, I think you can always be confident that 35mm will be the way to go. I also think this range of these smaller f2 lenses just makes the most sense with Fuji. I've been shooting a lot of video with these. It's really cool that the 35 and the 23 both share the same filter thread. So I have this very small, nice little compact variable ND filter, so I can pop that on and just shoot video in a pinch. It's got this very nice silver lens hood that people mentioned last time for extra extra spice. Instead of chatting, I'm gonna have a little walk around Brighton and take a few pictures. I'm here for another hour or so, so let's go take some pictures with the Fuji 23mm f2 lens on my X-T5 and see what we can get. Expectations are pretty low because it's so quiet, but when your expectations are low, you might be pleasantly surprised. Maybe that means my expectations aren't low, if I'm thinking that. Oh boy. Anyway, let's go. Heading out along the seafront with my X-T5 and the 23mm f2. Quite like the reds in this scene. Obviously the nostalgic neg base of the film simulation that I'm using made it very red. Threw in a couple of shots here that I don't actually have corresponding footage for, but I was quite happy with, so just squeaked them in, you know, why not? So I had, a little bit of free time to go out along the seafront in Brighton. Got very lucky with the sunshine, but it was very quiet, so I figured I'd maybe head along for the pier. As I was saying earlier in the video, I really think 35mm just makes such a great walkabout focal length. You can just grab it when you leave the house and not have to overthink things too much. I've been really bad with just deciding on what lens to use. Stopped off on the pier and decided to get a few cliche shots of Brighton, you know, seagulls, it has to be done. Shooting through the railings to make some subframes. Look, you know, I didn't have much time and that's all I could think of. And it was very quiet. Again, a few more seagulls, you know, why not? I also wanted to mention that a couple of weeks ago I was in Brighton for a Framelines Community meetup. About 20 of us came down for the day and we photographed the Brighton Mod Weekender. If you haven't heard of the Framelines Community, it's a Patreon and Discord community that we've set up. We set monthly street assignments, challenges to go out and take street photographs on a specific theme. We have a private Discord where we discuss gear and inspiration. And we have regular in-person meetups that pretty much always end up at the pub with a few drinks. I really love what this has grown into, made a lot of friends through it as well. It's really cool, so if you want to check it out, head to the link in the description to find out more about the Framelines community and our monthly street assignments. Now, just a few more photos along the pier of a very quiet fairground, but I did also get very lucky with the light, so I definitely can't complain. Anyway, I think that's it from me on 35mm. If you enjoyed the video, please do give a like and all that. Subscribe. Leave a comment down below. As always, a huge thank you for watching along and for supporting the channel. And see you next time.